All right, folks, I just wanted to give you a moment or two on the City of Calgary's response to date to the COVID-19 epidemic. The city is responding in three ways. The first is as an employer. We are the second largest employer in the City of Calgary, and we need to make sure that our colleagues are safe so that they can deliver the services that citizens need every day. The second is as a provider of essential services to make sure that all of you can continue to rely on the services that you need every single day. And third, although Alberta Health Services is taking the lead and they're doing a marvelous job of giving people the information they need, we will continue to repeat the public health information that people need on the ground today. So as far as the city goes, we are putting into place great plans in terms of how we manage our own workforce, how we allow for telework, and as an employer, how we make sure that people are comfortable in staying home when they feel ill. We continue to provide the essential services that we need every day, and we're being hyper vigilant in the services where people gather, such as Calgary Transit and Calgary Recreation Facilities. But that's a shared responsibility. So yes, we'll sanitize those buses, but as soon as they go out there and people get on them, they're not sanitized anymore. So we, as citizens who are taking transit, just need to be careful in making sure that we're practicing good hand hygiene and that we're keeping ourselves healthy as well. Now, ultimately, the public health message, as far as I'm concerned, is three things: clean hands, clear heads, open hearts. In terms of clean hands, wash your hands, sanitize them, and if I can use the mayoral edict to do that, no more handshakes. I've been using the opportunity to bump elbows with people or say namaste to people as an opportunity to really talk about why we're not shaking hands and what we need to do to flatten the curve on this epidemic. So yes, clean hands, cough into your elbow if you're coughing, stay home if you're sick, and if you're feeling symptomatic, particularly if you've been traveling, call 811. We were informed that anyone who's been traveling and has lower respiratory symptoms, that is a deep cough, a fever, body aches, just call 811 to be on the safe side. Calling 811 does not mean that you're going to go necessarily into 14-day isolation, but it does mean that you'll get the information that you need in order to be able to move forward. So make sure, better safe than sorry on that. Clear hearts, clear heads. There is no need to panic. There is certainly no need to stock up on toilet paper. It's a respiratory illness, not an intestinal illness. But it is important for us to understand that this is serious. This is going to get worse. There will be many, many more cases in Calgary and in Alberta. And our goal here is to use good public health measures like clean hands, like staying home when you're sick, to flatten the curve. So in other words, to push the peak out a little bit so that the health service is not overwhelmed, so that as people do get infected, they get infected over a greater period of time, so that the health service can handle it, so that the influenza season is over and those people are moved out of the hospitals, and that we're getting closer to better treatment and prevention options as we move forward. So ultimately, that's what that's about. So yes, it's very serious. No, there is no need to panic. And open hearts. It is critical that we take a community-based response, that we look after one another, that we use the best information and the best science that we have in order to ensure that everyone stays healthy. And in particular, let's take special care of older people. We know that this virus in particular affects the elderly in a much more serious way. So we need to look after older people to keep them safe throughout all of this process. We need to look in on our neighbors. If you have someone who's in self-isolation, drop some soup on the porch. Don't go in, but drop some soup on the porch and remind people that even if they're feeling isolated, that they live in a community that cares about them and cares about their health.
Mayor, can you talk about how much of the city's workforce might be working from home?
We are in a place where large amounts of the workforce will be able to work from home. As it stands right now, we're holding those spots for people who may have to go into isolation, but I think that we will be moving as this process moves forward into something where we may want to do some proactive working from home, so that in areas where you're providing essential services, just in case someone were to get ill, you don't want everyone to be in isolation at once. So we may move to a system where proactively we ask some people to work from home just to stay out of that system. You might even see that at council. And so those are the sorts of things that we'll be making decisions on in the upcoming days and weeks.
Has that started already, or is that just if things reach a certain level in the future?
We haven't started that yet, but we certainly are capable of more telework and more working from home. And certainly, should people be in a situation where they need to self-isolate, we'll have that capability available for them.
You said there's a group that's going to be evaluating city events and whether they should go forward. Can you clarify which events you're looking at? Is that just events that the city is running, or
Yes.
is that everything happening
So
in the city?
right now our purview is events the city is running. The city runs a lot of events, and so we're going to have a very small team looking quickly, applying a bunch of criteria that have been provided by the Canadian government on gatherings. Those include the size of the gathering, the demographic of the people who are going to be there, whether it's indoors or outdoors, the interactivity of that, whether there's can be physical space between people at the events. So a bunch of things like that that we'll be applying to city organized events. So we've done that already with the Safety Expo. While children are not at particularly high risk in this virus, they do spread it. And so the fact that we had 4,000 kids from all across the city, some of whom may have compromised immune systems, some of whom may live with their grandparents, in a very interactive, touch-based event, in conjunction with lots of first responders physically in the same space, really made that one fall onto the process of that ought to be canceled. So we will be applying those filters to city organized events very quickly and making some decisions around events that will be held in the next few weeks and months. Now, the city doesn't currently have the power to stop events out in the community, but we're trying to set an example for how people should be thinking about other gatherings as well. You know, I'm supposed to be in Houston today, and CIRA Week, which is a large energy conference, got canceled because people come from all over the world to it. And so we want to really be thoughtful about these criteria. We don't want to keep business going, we want to keep the community going, but we want to make sure that we're applying these criteria on a case-to-case basis, and we'd encourage anyone organizing an event in the city to do the same.
One more question. Could city business be delayed? Like if you're having green line engagement, does that do timelines for city initiatives? Could that be extended?
That's a very important question. You know, for example, we were going to have a major citywide World Cafe on the mental health and addiction strategy next week. That has been postponed, and we are looking at online ways of being able to accomplish that. So our goal is for business continuity to keep the work going, but it is not impossible that some projects may see their deadlines pushed forward because we haven't been able to do the kind of work that we need to do.
All right, thanks everyone. We've got to
Okay,
get
thanks
back.
everybody.